Hi everyone, this is Miss Segovia and I'm going to walk you through how to do the cookie activity for the protein synthesis lab. So for this one, I put the cookie on the left hand side of my notebook because I'm going to have my notes on the right hand. And we're going to be gluing in some materials and I'm going to walk you through how to do this one. So to get started, you need to have the cookie picture, the blue cutouts, the yellow cutouts, and the gold cutouts. So I'm going to take my little guys right here and set them aside for right now, and we're going to talk about how to cut your cookie. Oops, get those out of the way. Here we go. Okay, so for this one, first you're just going to cut along the borders like it shows you, the top and the bottom, and then the cookie cut along the dotted line at the top, and then it doesn't have a line at the bottom, but you can go ahead and trim it so you don't have so much to work with. Now the tricky part with this one is you're going to cut open the flaps of the cookie, and so where you see these dotted lines right here, what I found works the best for me is I took and I folded this in half and lined up my lines. So if you kind of take and you hold it up to the light, you can align the dotted lines on either side. I was just checking there, make sure I have it right. And then once you have it folded down the middle, you could take your scissors and just really carefully cut. Now, it's expensive doing the color copies, so please double check this a couple times and make sure that you have everything in alignment, because I really can't have you doing 4 or 5 attempts on this one, because I will run out of copies for everybody, and they were expensive, and we thought they looked prettier in colors, so that's why we went the little extra mile for you. Because I don't know about you, but when I look at this one, I'm just like, I could really use a chocolate chip cookie right now. And I know some of you are like, but I like sugar cookies and peanut butter's better. But you know, chocolate, it just hits the spot. So once I have my little cuts like this, I can go down and do the middle window cuts. And so I've already got my fold, so I just snip right here, and right here. So now I've got my little cookie windows. And then on the background sheet, I take my glue stick and I'm just going to run a nice thick line around. I found when I did this, I had to go back and kind of re-glue it again. So don't be surprised if it shifts a little bit more than you're expecting and you have to do that. Just get a little bit more glue. If it's really being obnoxious, get some tape and your problem solved. So when you lay these down, you kind of want to look underneath the flaps and make sure that it's aligning so that the center of the flap is in the center of the gold on the background here. So I'm just going to do this one and align this side. It takes a little bit of tweaking, but you can eventually get it so it looks nice. Just depends upon how much of a perfectionist you are to have it perfect. Now on the edges here, don't worry about this too much. When you go to fit it in your book, you'll probably have to trim these down anyway since our notebooks are narrow, so you'll take care of that later. So now if you notice, underneath here you've got step 1, 2, 3, and then on the right side are, keep it glued down, 4, 5, and 6. So let's go over what is going to go into our cookie one. So I want you to start out first with the blue ones. And so these are kind of telling a story about a chef making cookies. So take a moment, pause the video, and see if you could figure out what would be the most logical order to have these in. So pause it now. And welcome back. I know you paused it, didn't you? You just didn't let it play and keep going, silly goose. All right, so let's see what would be the most logical thing in here. Well, if we're gonna make cookies, we have to get the recipe to do that. So chef gets the cookie recipe would be the very first thing. And you'll notice he's keeping it in his office because we don't want to get it dirty in the main kitchen. So the chef getting the cookbook in the office. And so he can't cook in the office, he has to be able to leave the office. So chef leaves office would be our second instruction. So I'll zoom these in so you can see them a little bit better. So chef leaves office and heads to kitchen where the helpers are standing by to bake the cookies. So if he's gonna have them bake cookies, of course he has to have ingredients. And so you're not just gonna be like, give me the ingredients. You're gonna be like, I need you to get sugar and I need you to get flour. And so helpers listen as the chef assigns each one an ingredient that they must go collect. And then once he's given those assignments, the helpers bring all the ingredients back to the chef. And let's see what comes next. The ingredients are combined according to the recipe directions, and the cookies are complete. As a reward, the helpers are allowed to eat some cookies, and the rest are packaged up for the restaurant. So this is the correct order for the blue cards. The blue cards in your little cookie diagram are going to go onto the flaps themselves. So don't put them on the orange. You're going to put them over here on the white. So you could take your glue stick, put a nice healthy heaping amount of glue on the back of the door for step 1, and then put chef gets the cookie recipe from the cookbook in the office. And you're going to do this for each of these. Remember, going 1, 2, 3 down the line. So the point of all of this is to relate it to what is happening in our protein synthesis. So if we look here at the yellow cards, which one of these would sync up with what we see on the blue? So pause the video right now and then come back and see if you have them in the correct order. Okay, you paused it, right? You just didn't fake it and let it play? I know you're being honest with me, right? Okay, so let's see what goes first. So our first card, which I have now glued into my cookie thing, is the chef gets the cookie recipe from the cookbook in the office. Well, the office is a lot like the nucleus. And so what's happening in the nucleus is the genetic information in the DNA is transcribed to the messenger RNA strand. And so we're reading the recipe, and the chef's writing it down and getting it ready to cook. So this one is going to go into my cookie box right here for step 1. And you can lay these all out and then glue them in. I'm just going to glue it in now so you can see what it's going to look like, and I'll come back and do the rest. So he goes right there, and be careful you don't glue your other flap down. So the chef gets the cookie recipe from the cookbook in the office is a lot like the genetic information in DNA is transcribed to the messenger RNA or mRNA strand. And we're not going to put this in simple English because the STAR exam does not put it in simple English. We got to get used to the big words. I'm sorry. All right, so let's see how you did on the others. So chef leaves the office. When we leave the office, we have to go outside. And so if you dig around, you should find one that says the messenger RNA leaves the nucleus through the nuclear pore and attaches to a ribosome. mRNA provides code for the protein molecule that will form. And so that's a lot like the chef leaving the office to where the helpers are. He's bringing the information to them. So now the helper listens as the chef assigns each one ingredient. That one is a lot like our first step in protein synthesis where the transfer RNA attaches to the mRNA. It's going and it's, for lack of a better term, kind of looking at what's the recipe, what do we need to make this happen. And so that's very similar to the helpers listening to the chef's instructions. The fourth step, helpers bring all ingredients back to the chef, is a lot like our tRNA carrying specific amino acids to the ribosome. There they read the message of mRNA by matching up codes of bases. So they're bringing the ingredients so that we can make our cookies. All right, our fifth one, the ingredients are combined according to the recipe instructions. That is this one. The amino acids link together, forming a protein or polypeptide chain determined by the order of codes on the mRNA. And so it's reading the recipe, putting it all together, and making the magical process happen. And then finally, the cookies are complete is a lot like this one. The ribosomes release the completed protein, which is either used by the cell or packaged and exported, much like the helpers have the choice to eat some of the cookies or get them ready for the restaurant. So those are the ones that all go together. So of course you're going to take these and you're going to glue them into your cookie. And so you've got steps 1, 2, and 3 going down the left-hand side, and steps 4, 5, and 6 going down the right. Now, not gonna lie, this is a complicated process, so if you're still kind of scratching your head over it, just hang with us, come in for tutoring. We'll be happy to continue to explain it and use all sorts of crazy analogies to help you remember. But for now, I hope anytime you look at a cookie, you think of protein synthesis. Bye.